Deep in the countryside of Rock County, Wisconsin is the infamous Wherry Road, a secluded 5-mile stretch on the outskirts of Evansville. The road is a favorite destination for thrill seekers and ghost hunters due to the creepy legends surrounding the old bridge at the curve in the road. Local legends speak of phantom cars that chase vehicles down the road at night and the ghostly apparition of a man who died in a house fire a long time ago. But is the road really haunted, or are the stories nothing more than urban legends that have taken on a life of their own? These are the scary stories of Wherry Road in Evansville, Wisconsin. Creepy stories about Wherry Road have been told for generations, but the main legend revolves around a mysterious man from the 1800s named Lewis Wherry, whose family the road is named after. There are different variations of the story, but one version says Lewis Wherry was a greedy land baron who angered the townspeople to the point of them taking matters into their own hands. The legend says that one night a mob of angry men stormed the Wherry farm, tied Lewis to his bed, and then burned the entire house to the ground with Lewis trapped inside. A second version of the story says Lewis murdered his entire family and then burned the house down himself as part of a murder-suicide plot. A third and more sinister version says Lewis was accused of abusing children, and the furious townspeople burned the house down but accidentally took the lives of kids who were inside the home during the fire. Scary stories of the alleged fire have been told for decades, along with tales of apparitions and unexplained sightings that have occurred along the secluded road. People exploring the road at night have reported bizarre encounters, including first-hand sightings of a creepy man believed to be the ghost of Lewis Wherry. In one account, published in the book Weird Wisconsin, 2 women decided to pay a third visit to Wherry Road after going there twice before without seeing anything out of the ordinary. It's unclear exactly where on the road this event took place, but the 2 women decided to park the vehicle and step outside to explore the road in the dark. After walking a short distance, the 2 heard a loud rustling sound approaching from the bushes and decided it was probably a good idea to head back to the vehicle. The driver started the vehicle and was about to drive away when she looked in the rearview mirror and saw the silhouette of a man standing in the road a good distance away from the car. The driver told the passenger what she saw, but when she turned around to look out the back window, the man was no longer there. Moments later, the driver looked in the mirror a second time, and the man was standing in the road again, only this time he was standing directly behind the vehicle with his face clearly visible. The driver quickly fled the scene in fear of her safety and later said that whoever it was looked very upset that the 2 were driving on the road that night and obviously wanted them gone. There have also been sightings of a green glowing light between the old bridge and Fowler Road, as well as shadow figures seen by ghost hunters and late-night drivers passing through. The creepy tunnel of trees that towers over the road near the bridge has also been the site of strange encounters, including disembodied voices and weird sounds coming from the darkness of the fields beyond the trees. This desolate stretch of the road is very narrow and extremely remote, and driving through the tunnel of trees is definitely eerie, even during the day. If the sightings on the road are true, though, could the ghost of Lewis Wherry be responsible, and are the stories of a terrible house fire real or simply made up? Lewis Wherry was, in fact, a real person who lived in Evansville, and he's buried alongside his family in Maple Hill Cemetery, less than 10 minutes away from the infamous road. Lewis was born in Ohio in 1839, but later moved to Illinois and eventually Evansville, where he died from an unknown illness in 1918 at the age of 79. Historical records show he was a contractor and had 4 children at the age of 25. It's unknown if Lewis lived on Wherry Road, but his son Charles owned a farm there, which can be seen on this historic map from 1922. His son Charles died in 1933 at the age of 68 from a lingering illness, according to records. This is the former Wherry farm that Charles and his son Russell owned and operated all the way into the 1940s when it was eventually sold. Although legends speak of Lewis Wherry being burned alive in a horrible house fire, there are no historical records connecting him or his son Charles with the alleged event. What is strange, though, is the unusually high number of newspaper articles that document multiple cases of arson in Evansville over a 60-year period. In 1949, someone snuck onto a farm at night and lit 2 large haystacks on fire. Luckily, the fire didn't spread beyond the barn and no lives were lost. Then in 1970, arson was suspected in another farm fire that resulted in a barn being burned to the ground. The fire was believed to be connected with a string of mysterious barn and shed fires that occurred earlier that same year, but no one was ever charged with the crimes. Then again in 1975, 2 more barns were burned to the ground only a few days apart, but no arrests were ever made in those cases either. The documented cases of barns and businesses being burned to the ground in Evansville, Wisconsin go on and date all the way back to the 1920s. Even though the scary stories about Lewis Wary dying in a house fire are completely false, the legends were probably influenced by the town's dark history of arson. It is also possible the legend was based on a real event that occurred somewhere else, or it was nothing more than a fabricated story to begin with. The unexplained sightings on West Wary Road near the bridge likely have nothing to do with the family, but they could actually be connected with a fatal car surfing accident that occurred over 25 years ago. On the night of August 20th, 1994, 15-year-old Matthew Floyd and a carload of teenagers drove out to West Wary Road to play the dangerous game of car surfing. The group of teens pulled to the side of the road, and Matthew climbed onto the roof of the vehicle while the driver's 16-year-old sister climbed onto the hood. According to reports, the vehicle accelerated down the dark road at a speed of somewhere between 30 to 60 miles per hour, with both of the teenagers standing on top of the car. As the vehicle barreled down Wary Road towards the bridge, Matthew lost his footing and slipped off of the roof, smashing his head on the pavement and suffering devastating injuries. The car came to a screeching halt, and moments later, the teens found Matthew lying motionless in the road in a fetal position. Witnesses at the tragic scene said he was making gurgling sounds and couldn't speak. He was rushed to the hospital, but pronounced brain dead a short time later, and after 2 failed attempts to save him, the doctors terminated life support. Matthew Floyd was only 15 years old at the time of his passing. On December 28, 1994, the 18-year-old driver ended up pleading guilty to negligent homicide and was given 5 years probation and 200 hours of community service. The 39-year-old mother of the driver was also given 2 years probation after an investigation revealed that she took the kids car surfing at a park only months before the fatal accident. Since the tragic death of Matthew Floyd in 1994, there have been eerie sightings of shadow figures and an apparition by the bridge not far from the scene of the fatal accident. And some believe the green glowing light that was seen between the bridge and Fowler Road could actually be the spirit of Matthew Floyd. It has also been said that the apparition seen at the bridge is the ghost of a teenage boy who allegedly hanged himself from the guardrail, but it's unclear if this event really happened because I wasn't able to find any records confirming it. Sightings of a green glowing mist and apparitions at the bridge aren't the only unexplained events to occur on the road. Drivers traveling on the road at night have reported being closely followed by a car that suddenly appears behind them and then vanishes soon after. One story recounts 2 women who were pursued by a phantom car while taking a late-night drive down the secluded road. The 2 women drove over the bridge and rounded the curve towards Route 14 when 2 headlights suddenly appeared behind them. The headlights drew closer and closer, and in a panic, the driver floored the gas pedal to get away from the mysterious vehicle tailgating them. In a desperate attempt to escape the pursuit, the woman quickly made a right turn into a driveway of an old barn and turned the lights off, but the speeding vehicle never went by and was nowhere to be seen. Others have reported similar encounters with mysterious vehicles and even a phantom train, but these sightings are likely mistaken for a real train that crosses Wary Road and continues through the farm fields not far from the bridge. The scary stories of the road and bridge are dark and fascinating, but is Wary Road really haunted, or is it just a creepy place with a grim reputation? The legend of Lewis Wary being burned alive in a house fire is a fabricated story, but if Lewis isn't behind the haunting, then who's the apparition appearing in the road at night? Although it's certainly possible these sightings could actually be a living person, it's unlikely since the area is extremely remote with nothing but farmland on all sides, especially the area by the bridge. There are only 14 homes on this road, and most of them are located on the north end, far away from the bridge in the area where these strange encounters occur. Some people believe the road is haunted by the restless spirit of Matthew Floyd, whose life tragically ended not far from the bridge where an apparition is said to appear. Perhaps the phantom vehicle is a residual haunting from the deadly accident, or maybe the sightings are living drivers turning their lights off as a prank. I didn't experience anything paranormal during my visit to Wary Road, but the road is definitely dark and scary and truly in the middle of nowhere. The west half of the road is overgrown and really narrow, with barely enough room for another vehicle to pass. The curves along this road are also very sharp and dangerous, and I was more scared about getting into a head-on collision than seeing a ghost. Even though I didn't see an apparition, I did have an encounter with a confused deer who ran in front of my car for quite a ways before eventually running off into the trees. But what do you think about this allegedly haunted location? Have you ever been to Wary Road, and if so, did you have a paranormal experience? Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel now to see future videos about haunted roads, cemeteries, and more. And if you want to watch more videos like this one now, click on the Haunted Roads playlist you see on the screen.